The wizard is writing at his desk. He looks up from his work and greets you with a scowl.
Boy, you know I don't like you to enter my private study, especially when I'm writing. Leave now, or I'll make you leave.
The wizard is writing at his desk. He looks up from his work and greets you with a scowl.
Boy, you know I don't like you to enter my private study, especially when I'm writing. The kitchen is filthy. Go clean it at once.
The wizard is writing at his desk. He looks up from his work and greets you with a scowl.
When I assign a chore, I want it done immediately. Go hang around in the kitchen for a while.
The wizard's glare makes you suddenly feel very, very small. The wizard is writing at his desk.
Boy, you know I don't like you to enter my private study, especially when I'm writing. Leave now, or I'll make you leave.
The wizard.
Boy, you know I don't like you to enter. The chickens need to be fed. See to it at once.
It's the wizard's wastebasket. Don't you remember? You emptied it yesterday. Can it, will you? You wipe the spoon against your clothes. You can't use that item. The massive desk is made from oak. The wizard does all his reading, writing, and arithmetic here. You're not sure, but it could be a chart. Then again, perhaps not. The oak cabinet has a brass handle on its door. Your feather duster is lying on its top. It's your feather duster. From here, the countryside of Ludor beckons the would-be traveler. 2 boxes rest on top of the bookshelves. So many books line the bookshelf, you wonder when Manannan has time to read them all. Titles cover many subjects from ancient Arabic mythology to a study of the heavens to the philosophies of Socrates. So many 2 boxes. Try as you might, you can't convince the boxes to jump off the bookshelf. Licking the desk clean might be effective, but hardly sanitary. Can it? It only creaks complaints when it's being used. It conveys no significance to you. You press your mouth to the glass and blow air into your cheeks. Ooh, you'll have to clean that later. Use it, but don't talk to it. Your word is your oak, but that won't open the cabinet door. You can't use. Unfortunately, you are too short to reach the boxes. Anything the wizard enjoys sitting in is something you have every wish to avoid. The wizard's chair receives, unsurprisingly, much attention from the man himself. You'd prefer being sat on to what you get from the other end. You open the desk's only drawer, but you see nothing interesting. You try to turn the handle, but the door is locked. The chart is firmly attached to the wall. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Black, the Ultimate Fashion Statement. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Secretly Secluding Servants for a Lifetime of Service and Servitude. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled 1001 Unlikely Uses for Cheese. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Ancient Wisdom, The Legacy of Our Forebears. It seems to be a record of all known information regarding the original inhabitants of the known world. It is a notably thin book. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Wither the Weather or Wedding the World, an anthology of meteorological spells. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Lifestyles of the Weird and Wicked. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Guide to Maintaining a Healthy Beard. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a series of magazines entitled Wizarding Weekly. This week's edition includes tips on keeping your hat pointy. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Levers and Bookcases, a Traditional Connection. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Telescopes and Other Spying Devices. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Mystical Misconceptions. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled The 40 Most Inappropriate Uses of a Magic Map. You scan the bookshelf for interesting titles and find a book entitled Tyrannical Totalitarianism. You scan the bookshelf for You scan the bookshelf. You should practice your aim. You should... You'd think Manannan could have been happy with just one, but no. You can't use... There are 5 levers arranged in a row. You have a feeling random selection won't help you. You see an evil sneer come across the wizard's face.
When I assign a chore, I want it done immediately. Like a bad little boy, you shall spend some time in your room.
The door is shut and therefore locked. You were taught early on not to make too much noise, even from your own room. You can't use that item there. Often you have wished you could crawl into a hole and disappear. Often you have nothing of any interest in your dresser drawer. You have nothing. Your hands are grubby enough. No need to dirty them further by rubbing them on your clothes. The door has opened. Your hands are. You run your fingers along the smooth, unbroken part of the mirror. No chance of stepping through the looking glass today. You've often wondered what it would be like to have your very own magic mirror. You'd pretend you can see through it to faraway lands where life is, well, a lot better than this one. While this room provides some small semblance of comfort, none can come through seeking solace. You fog up the glass with your breath, then play a quick game of noughts and crosses before it fades. You've always needed to be careful not to have it lit too long. Mahogany only gives you one of these a year. You talk enough in your sleep. The bed shouldn't have to cope with any more of your mumblings. You drop to your hands and knees and hide the item under your bed. Your bedside candle occupies the window ledge. The window provides a peek and a promise of the freedom you have longed for. The bed is nothing more than a cot, hard and cold and difficult to sleep on. Your pillow is small and flat, as it is made of old rags. Your dresser is a piece of junk. It's full of nicks and scratches, and one drawer is completely missing. You look into the cracked mirror hanging on the wall. Your reflection shows a tall, handsome lad dressed in dirty rags. The door is wide open. Your feet work better. Often you have wished. It's not the kind that opens. Mahogany made sure of that. As it's broad daylight, you don't need it. You were taught early on. Your heart skips as the wizard gives you an evil look.
I have decided to take a journey.
You have always admired this lovely tapestry. It's one of the few bright spots in this dreary house. You lift the bottom of the tapestry and peer behind it. The wall is filled with cracks. You can see why Mahogany would hang such a tapestry here. There are also dozens of charcoal drawings, diagrams, maps, and notes to programmers with the legend of King's Quest IV. But you're uninterested in this, since you presently have your hands full with King's Quest III. You lower the tapestry and smooth out the wrinkles. Talking to the tapestry is taking up your time. The cat just... The window is shut. It's as pointless to crawl out as it would be to call out. The window is shut. It's as... You can see most of the countryside of Ludor from this vantage point. This door leads to the wizard's bedroom. This hallway is on the second floor of the old wizard's house. There are 2 stairways here. Adjacent to them are 2 doors, both leading to, thankfully, separate bedrooms. This stairway leads to the landing below. It's wider than its counterpart, but rather creaky. This stairway leads to the tower above. The steps are steep and narrow. The door is way ahead of you. The steps are held fast by nails. Besides, haven't you got enough to do without assuming the role of carpenter? No matter how many times you tell the stairs to be quiet, they still creak when you walk on them. No matter how you call into the next room, no one answers. There is a small drawer in the front of the Mahogany Vanity. It is an oval mirror. Obviously, Manannan has never looked into it, as it isn't cracked from side to side. There is a small drawer in the It's a lovely handheld mirror. Manannan's a vain old codger, isn't he? A bottle with a green leaf stopper contains some cat mint. Presumably, these are Manannan's reading glasses. You've never seen him read. He spends most of his time watching the townspeople, or you. A comb, perfectly suited for the maintenance of long facial fleece. A bottle with a cat's head on it. Manannan must be allergic to cats. Blank parchments for those late-night urges to jot something down. They're probably used to notate new ideas for making your life more miserable. So far, you're allergy-free. Perhaps in a few years, when you've worn out that soft down presently posing as stubble. Write about your journey after you've gotten where you're going. You have excellent eyesight. Besides, they wouldn't suit you. Your breath smells fine. You take the wizard's hand mirror. The wizard's journal. The wizard's personal thoughts are a recipe for guaranteed boredom. You cannot use this item in that way. The vanity's drawer is drawn directly in your direction. There is nothing of interest in that part of the drawer. Wrinkling your nose in disgust, you throw the smelly contents of the chamber pot out the open window. What a way to make a living. Sure, stick your head in there. You'll be allowed a bath in a week or two. You can't use. It's the wizard's chamber pot. Manannan spends his nights in that bed. That he does so alone and for so long as you've lived here would amuse you if your situation weren't identical. You'd rather sleep on a bed of nails. No time for pillow talk.
Mirror, mirror, oval vanity, make my master lose his sanity. He appears if I am slack, angry, mean, in cloaks of black, and orders me to do his bidding. I want out.
You must be kidding. You can't use that item there. You leave a fingerprint on the surface. Aha! You've struck a blow against tyranny. Unless you have business, stay out of its drawers. It is a simple dresser containing Manannan's unmentionables. The thought of those conjures many memories of washing them. You cannot use this item in that. Chocolate creams. No, wait a minute. They're chocolate-coated insects. Yuck! A blue bottle labeled with a V. Given local topography, you're guessing it stands for vertigo. Manannan must have a little trouble with heights. It's a bottle of rose petal essence. 3 vials contain small quantities of hair, all in different colors. That's odd. They're all labeled Gwydion. 3 vials contains 3 vials. The dresser's drawer is drawn directly. The dresser's a few parchments from a personal pen pal. You haven't time to sort through the wizard's private correspondence. You've only been fed slop in your life, bit late to be starting on crunchy food. They're of no use to you. You've never wanted to smell like a rose, but They're of no use to you. You don't have a problem with heights, not one you'd admit to. You cannot use this item in that way. The closet is fashioned of ornately carved mahogany. You're not sure what to make of this. Mananan has unique aesthetic tastes. You don't like the look of that place. You'd rather not touch it. Didn't your mother ever tell you not to talk to strange wall hangings? Oh, you never knew your mother. Never mind. You've never missed your water. A pitcher of water serves to wash, replenish, and receive a mouthful of expectorant. You refilled it this morning. You'd rather leave it open. The birds veer away from the house when they fly past, so you can't even attract their attention. You can't use a small bedside candle sits beside the bed. Mananan uses it for reading late into the night. He never seems to run short when it comes to his own candles. The closet is fashioned of ornately carved mahogany. This is one of the wizard's linen gowns. You search the linen gown. You don't find anything interesting. That doesn't work with the black cloak. The wizard's blue-peaked hat sits in the bottom of the closet. The wizard's red hat is resting in the bottom of the closet. You don't look good wearing peaked hats. You don't. You search the linen. You search. You search. You. You'd rather touch as little as possible, all things considered. You search. You'd rather touch. No need to snuff it. You think it might have toppled at least once over the years. Regretfully, its base is sturdy.